Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else, this is John Paval with Access Arts Live for a special edition roundup of this week's live stream action coming to you from the Bowdoin International Music Festival on Monday, that's today, July 28th, Wednesday, I'm losing track of the dates, and on Friday. There you go. Yeah, I think it's the 28th, the 30th, and the 1st of August. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, anyway. And today is the 28th, my computer tells me. So I want to go through all that for you so you know what's going on. These are terrific concerts. They are, in general, sold out at $49 per seat. And the Bowdoin International Music Festival offers them to you free of charge. I think it's really terrific. And I also want to mention that besides these three live streams that I'm telling you about, they're doing a whole panoply of master classes. So, for instance, on a certain day, you'll find that the same performers, and I'll tell you about that more specifically as we go through this week, will both be doing a concert and a master class. And besides the master classes, there are also student concerts that are going on practically every day of the week, as far as I can tell. And then also meetings with composers and things like that. All told, 54 live streams in the months of July and early August. You can't beat that, folks. So let's get to it. But before I go any further, let me remind you, if you're watching this on YouTube, please click the like button. If you're watching on any of our other 6 platforms, please don't just like us, follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on X, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and LinkedIn. And we will continue to send you more than 1,000 live links to performing arts live streams in the coming year. So having said all that, which I believe was a mouthful, in any event, let's get on to the first of this week's live stream action. Today's live stream, July 28th, from the Bowdoin International Music Festival. Monday, July 28th, the Bowdoin Festival offers you a free live stream of a sold-out concert at $49 per seat. The long-standing Takács Quartet, playing string quartets by Haydn and Beethoven, and a new composition by Thula, which has already received high praise from the critics. That will be at 7:30 in the evening, Eastern Daylight Time, 4:30 in the afternoon on the West Coast, 1:30 in the morning here in Europe, and 9:30 in the morning, Tuesday morning, down under in Australia. Do I have the picture of them up for you? Did I remember to do that? Hey, I remember to put up the Takács Quartet. And by the way, although I only referred to Thula as Thula in my introduction, her full name is Thula Ngwenyama. However, she says on her on the profile on her website that she goes by the name Thula. So I just thought I'd throw that into the description. Anyway, so what is this Takács Quartet? Well, they've been around for 50 years. They were founded at the Franz Liszt Academy in Budapest in 1975. And there were 4 of them, including András Feyer. Now, the current lineup, after 50 years, the only one who's still there out of the original 4 is András Feyer. The others are Edward Dusenberg, Harumi Rhodes, those 2 are on the violins, Richard O'Neill on the viola, and András Feyer plays the cello. They've just put out, in the last year, 2 anniversary albums for Hyperion Records, which apparently have gotten great reviews, and one of them includes one of the pieces they're playing today by Thula Ngwenyama, the Flow, which is the second piece they'll do, which was composed for the ensemble. And I'll tell you a little bit more about Thula Ngwenyama in just a moment. They are associate artist at London's Wigmore Hall, which means they put on 3 or 4 concerts a year there. They're artist in residence at the University of Colorado in Boulder since 1986. That's roughly 40 years out of their 50 years existence. Extensive discography with Hyperion Records, which you can access online by going to Hyperion Records UK. They've and they also what's good about them is they also do mixed media kind of work with actors. They toured. They created a program inspired by Philip Roth's novel Everyman, and they performed it with Meryl Streep, and they performed it at Carnegie Hall with Philip Seymour Hoffman, the late and lamentably gone. And they've also done a lot of touring with the poet Robert Pinsky. So it's an interesting group. It's an alive group. It's a hyper talented group. And they'll be doing Haydn String Quartet in G minor, Opus 74, number 3, The Rider, to begin with. They will close with Beethoven String Quartet number 9 in C major, Opus 59, number 3. And in between, then they'll do this piece by Thula Ngwenyama. She's so American in a way, so LA. She's born in Los Angeles of Zimbabwean and Japanese parentage. It doesn't get more LA than that, let me tell you. I lived in LA for a number of years. And when she was very precocious, she was a violist prodigy, winning the Primrose International Viola Competition at age 16. And that led to debuts at the Kennedy Center, 92nd Street Y, that 92 NY, which does a lot of live streaming that we tell you about often, as does the Kennedy Center. But she's become a composer, and her music's been performed by the LA Phil, the Scottish Chamber Orchestra, the symphonies in Detroit, London, Chicago, Phoenix, etc. But also by the KwaZulu-Natal Philharmonic in South Africa and the Orquesta Nacional de Madrid. While she was a Fulbright scholar, she studied both at the National Conservatory for Music and Dance in Paris, and she got a master's in theology from Harvard Divinity School. As for this particular piece, what I can tell you about it is the Boston Classical Review says that it is immediate, ingratiating, and accessible a musical argument as they come. It's gloriously, radiantly sincere and affecting. And it was composed for the Takács Quartet to play for you. You get it for free. What more do you want? Okay, so we move on from that lovely concert, which is just later tonight, and about I don't know, it's 6 o'clock, roughly 6 o'clock here in Europe, so it's about 7.5 hours from now. Set your watch and check it out. It's free of charge. Then we move on to tomorrow's, not tomorrow's concert. What's next? Oh, I didn't show you the different artists who would be playing these other pieces. And I feel I have been remiss in doing that. So, well, no, actually, I think that's already, we're into the next days. We're into Wednesday. Wednesday, July 30th, the Bowdoin Festival live streams top chamber musicians from across the country playing a Beethoven piano trio, Smetana's piano violin duet, and a Mozart string quintet. Classic chamber lovers, you cannot ask for more. That'll be at the usual time, 7:30 in the evening, Eastern Daylight Time, 4:30 on the West Coast, 1:30 in Europe, and 9:30 in the morning, Thursday morning, down under in Australia. Let me tell you about the different performers who will be playing these different pieces. We start out with the Beethoven Piano Trio number 1 in E-flat major, Opus 1, number 1. Some of these people I've already told you about in earlier concerts over the last 2 weeks, so I may be more brief when I tell you about them, and hopefully you've been following along. On the violin is Eugene Jang, who's faculty at the Eastman School of Music. She played last Friday, I think it was that the 25th? She played with the harpist June Han, who's in another program later on I'll be telling you about. Together they played Piazzolla's History of the Tango. And they played it for violin and harp instead of guitar and flute. So she's willing to experiment. Anyway, she's toured with music from Marlborough. She's got a couple of albums out. One of them recorded with the Sendai Philharmonic Orchestra, which is Mendelssohn and Stravinsky violin concertos, and one is a recital disc. And she's a co-founder of the Kalachi String Quartet. Beside her will be Denise Jokic on the cello. She's Canadian-American who just got appointed recently to teach at University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. She's performed with most of the major Canadian orchestras. In the U.S., she's performed with places like the Buffalo Philharmonic, the Portland Symphony, the San Diego Chamber Orchestra. She was a featured performer at the Grammy Awards at one point in time, where she opened for the pop rock band Train. She's a member of a group founded by her brother called Ensemble Arts, which again, this is another move towards combining different genres. And it's Canada's first cultural organization designed to bring together music, dance, and visual arts on stage. She, for instance, this is a long time ago, 15 years ago, 2010, she performed all of Benjamin Britten's cello suites in Seattle with Seattle Spectrum Dance Company. And well, that tells you how far she will go to mix genres. And then finally on the piano is Dao Lin, who's visiting faculty at Shanghai Normal University. He does a lot of performing and with different orchestras and chamber groups, and he's recorded on Naxos, Arctic Centaur, Romeo, Poinciana, and Piano Lovers labels. So, and he's one of the regulars at the concerts over the last couple of weeks. So that's the lineup for the first piece. Then for the second piece, is a piece called From My Homeland by Smetana. And it's for violin and piano, a duo. On the violin will be Sergiu Schwartz, and he's on the faculty at the Schwab School of Music, which is at Columbus State University in Georgia. He's also a visiting prof at the Lausanne Conservatory in Switzerland. His bio says he's appeared in 20 European countries, and he's been featured in broadcasts by NPR, CNN, and the BBC. His recordings he has a recording with the London Symphony on the Vox label. He has others on Naxos and Arcobaleno. He's very prolific in giving lectures and master classes just about every place you could think of if you made a list of all the schools where you could do that. On the piano is Jiwon Park, and the Korean-born pianist. She's married to Edward Aaron, who's also very active at this festival. Though the two of them are here. Between them, at one point they recorded Beethoven's complete works for cello and piano for Aeolian Classics, and they co-direct a program for performing artists in residence at the Clark Art Institute, which I think is in Massachusetts. And then third and last for that day, but not least, we have a Mozart String Quintet, number 3 in C major, Kerschel number 515. Well, and as a quintet, there's a lot of people in it. There's Ayano Ninomiya, who's on the faculty of the New England Conservatory. She's performed all over the U.S. and other countries, and as far away as Singapore, Indonesia, Australia, and New Zealand. She's got a variety of albums out. She's one of the founding members of ECHO, that East Coast chamber orchestra, which has no conductor. She was, you know, the Ying Quartet, two members of the Ying Quartet run this Bowdoin International Festival, Philip and David, and she was first violinist of the Ying Quartet from 2010 to 2015, while she was also an associate professor of Eastman School of Music, as are all the other folks in the Ying Quartet. So there's that connection there. But since 2015, she's been teaching instead at the New England Conservatory of Music in Boston. Also on the violin is Meg Freivogel, who's a violinist with the Jupiter Quartet, which helped to open last week's series of concerts for the Bowdoin International Festival. And that's a very family thing with her sister and her sister's husband in it and all that. Then on the viola is Attar Arad, very experienced guy. Israeli-born violist, and he teaches music and viola at the Jacobs School of Music at Indiana University. He's also a composer with sonatas and string quartets and concertos to his name, one of which he has a piece called Listen, which is based on 3 poems by W.S. Merwin, my favorite poet of all time. So I think he must be a great guy. And at this point in time, he's been around. You know, he's a man of achievement. He was a recipient of the American Viola Society's Career Achievement Award already 8 years ago in 2018. So then, oddly enough, there are 2 people listed as being on the viola in this quintet. So go figure. Also on the viola is Ivo John van der Werf, who's on the viola faculty at Rice University. He was a member of the long-standing Medici String Quartet from 1983, and it lasted like 40 years until its last concert in 2014, 200 concerts all around the world, recordings, you know, of over 100 works for several labels, et cetera, et cetera. The guy gives master classes all over the world. So another man of achievement and experience on the viola, 2 of them. And then finally, Denise Jokic is on the cello. She's the Canadian American cellist whom I've told you about before. So that's what's on the lineup for Wednesday. And it looks like an excellent, thorough lineup that real lovers of, you know, hardcore classical, traditional classical chamber music can thoroughly enjoy. We then move on to Friday's offerings. Friday, August 1st, the Bowdoin Festival live streams a Mendelssohn Sonata for cello and piano, a Brahms piano quartet, and 20th century Korean composer Lee Sang-yoon's duo for cello and harp, played by musicians from America's finest advanced music schools across the country. That's, again, at the usual 7:30 in the evening Eastern Daylight Time, 4:30 on the West Coast, 1:30 in the morning on the East Coast, in Europe, and 9:30 Saturday morning down under in Australia. That piece by Mendelssohn that they're starting out with is played by Edward Aaron and Ji-won Park, the husband and wife team who are both here at the Bowdoin International Music Festival. It's the Mendelssohn Sonata for cello and piano number 2 in D major, opus 58. They together are co-artistic directors of a performing artist in residence series at the Clark Institute, and they recorded Beethoven's complete works for cello and piano on the Aeolian Classics record label. And she's more of a performer, and because I don't see her listed as having a faculty position, and he's on the faculty of the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. They will they will finish up this concert with a piece by Brahms. I want to show you, and then I will come back to the piece that they're doing in the middle because I think it's interesting. I want to tell you a little bit more about it. They will be doing a Brahms piano quartet number 3 in C minor, Opus 60, the Werther piano quartet. And if that's a reference to Goethe's Werther, I'm pretty sure that was the piece by Goethe, which was so popular that young men across Europe were throwing themselves off bridges into rivers to kill themselves, being inspired by it. But whatever. Anyway, on the violin, you have Mikhail Koppelman, another very experienced violinist. He's been at the Eastman School of Music since 2002. Before that, he was at the Yale School of Music. He's a Moscow born and bred guy. He went to the Moscow Conservatory, ended up teaching at the Moscow Conservatory, played for the Bolshoi Theater Orchestra, was concertmaster of the Moscow Phil, and then came to America in 1993, and he never went back. Then on the viola, you have Philip Ying. He's one of the 2 members of the Ying Quartet, which is who are running this festival. And the Ying Quartet is the quartet in residence at the Eastman School of Music. So you can see why they would invite Mikhail Koppelman to come down from the Eastman School of Music and play with them. Then on the cello, you've got Edwin Aaron, who I talked about just a moment ago. So I don't need to tell you more about that. And on the piano, it's Pei-Shan Lee. Pei-Shan Lee's big thing is collaborative piano. She teaches at the New England Conservatory and actually created a whole program to get degrees in piano and collaborative piano successively, a bachelor's in piano and then a master's in collaborative piano. And she created a collaborative piano fellowship at the Bowdoin International Music Festival. So you have highly experienced top people at this festival on this Brahms piano concerto, and a pianist who specializes in, well, how do you play the piano in a collaborative sense? So I think that's terrific. Now I want to talk to you about this. Lastly, I want to just tell you a bit about this piece they're playing by Isan Young, because I think it's interesting, and I didn't know that much about Isan Young. I had to look him up, and when I did, I was kind of impressed. And if you don't know Isan Young, then you may be impressed too. Anyway, this is a duo for cello and harp, and it's Denise Jokic on the cello. She's the Canadian-American who teaches at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and has this part of this group founded by her brothers called Ensemble Arts in Canada, which is designed to promote bringing music, dance, and visual arts together on stage. So she's someone who's interested in cross-genre work and interesting pieces. June Han on the harp, she's on the faculty everywhere. She's listed as faculty at Yale, Peabody, Columbia, and Juilliard Pre-College. And she together with a violinist last week was playing Piazzolla's History of the Tango, which was created or composed for guitar and flute, but they did it as a violin and harp thing instead. So she's also someone who's interested in playing outside the box, you could say, musically. Isan Young, it was a prolific composer, Korean, who really didn't start to blossom until 1956. Now, he was born in 1917, and he doesn't in 1956, he ends up entering the Paris Conservatory and then the Berlin Hochschule, ends up living in Germany, thriving there. The guy wrote 4 operas, 5 symphonies, 9 concertos for violin, oboe, cello, flute, clarinet, etc. I didn't know all that, and perhaps I'm just ignorant, or maybe you share my lack of knowledge about him, but I just wanted to point that out. He led an incredibly, his life story reads like a spy novel. At one point in time, while he's living in Germany, he was actually kidnapped by the South Korean intelligence services. They suspected him of spying. And they took him back to South Korea and they tortured him and interrogated him. They were going to kill him. There was this worldwide outcry at the time. So finally they released him and they let him go back to Germany, where for the rest of his life until 1995, he remained a lifelong advocate of the reunification of the two Koreas. So no doubt he had contacts in North Korea as well as in South Korea, and that is what led the South Koreans to arrest him and try to kill him. I believe in music as a unifying force myself, so I'm glad that some world outcry got him free. If you know as little about him as I do, then I would encourage you to check him out and enjoy this concert. That's 3 lovely concerts with all these top musicians playing a wonderful variety of both very classical pieces, but also more modern and contemporary things like this piece I just talked about by Lee Sang-yoon, and the contemporary composition composed for the Takács Quartet, so they can play it for you today, July 28th. In a few hours' time, composed by Thula Ngwenyama. So I hope this has been interesting for you. I hope if you do turn in one more, or any of these live streams inspires you, uplifts you, or just shows you a heck of a good time. And with that, I will remind you, if you're watching this on Facebook, please like the video. If you're watching this on any of our other platforms, we would love it if you would follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and or LinkedIn. And we will continue in the coming year to provide you with more than 1,000 live links to live performances online. And no other website or channel or service can make that claim for you. So ciao for now. I will be back tomorrow with more of this week's action going on. There are 2 more concerts coming from the Seattle Chamber Music Society's festival, what they call the world's largest chamber party. There are new symphonic concerts coming from the Lakes Area Music Festival in Minnesota, and there are other choice pieces you want to know about, plus a raft of the usual suspects doing organ recitals. And for some reason, folks, we get more likes and follows from organ recital lovers than anything else. So we're going to continue to keep you informed about those. So thank you very much for tuning in. And I want to invite you again, if you go to any of these live streams and like them or don't like them, please don't hesitate to come back and comment about them on any of our platforms and on any of the websites where I've told you about them. We'd love to see more commentary coming back in our faces. So ciao for now.